Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Spidey Talk. I'm your host, J-Man, and I just want to quickly state one more topic or point of interest that I have, and that is regarding the Clone Saga Rewrite, or the Clone Saga Redux, whatever you want to call it, the 2009 limited series book that was written by Howard Mackie and Tom DeFalco. Okay, so I've talked about this book a little bit in the previous videos, but this time I want to bring it more into focus, put an emphasis on it. The turn of events in this book were drastically different than the actual Clone Saga. Okay, the book sold pretty well, and from what I understand, the reviews were good. The reviews were overall positive. Not to say that it's perfect or that it clarifies everything, because it doesn't. But it's much better than all of that cluster you-know-what that happened during the actual Clone Saga. Talking about, in particular, the, what's it called, maximum clonage storyline. That's when things really got out of hand. There was like hundreds of different clones, and they were all fighting each other, and nobody knew who was on what side, who's good, who's bad, who's working for who's a clone, who's not a clone. None of it made any sense. Not to mention that also, during that storyline was supposed to end the Clone Saga. But because the sales were so high, they decided to keep it going, which was a really bad idea, because I'll tell you why. Because they needed to tie up these loose ends. They needed to write it to where give the fans some explanations. But no, they just kept leading the fans on and on with all these weird outcomes in terms of events, and it wasn't adding up, just like an episode of Lost. Okay? So, anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, the 2009 Clone Saga. That omitted a lot of the controversies and confusion, like the clone Spider side. He's not even in the book. Judas Traveler, the Seer, and his host. Those characters completely omitted. All the stories involving them, gone. Alright? The way Tom DeFalco and Howard Mackie, or Tom DeFalco described those characters they were basically a side story, an offshoot. They were a distraction from what was really going on. Okay? Yeah, so that's how he downplayed those characters very hard. Anyway, so in the 2009 rewrite, it excludes those characters, excludes Judas Traveler, the Seer, Spider Side, any of those other clones, but it also brings in Harry Osborn. Okay? And it makes Harry Osborn out to be the actual culprit or mastermind behind the Clone Saga. Not Norman Osborn. Harry Osborn. Okay? And I'm just like, what? How is that possible? Didn't Harry Osborn die before the Maximum Carnage Saga? He's supposed to be dead way before the Clone Saga. They didn't explain how he didn't die or how he was brought back to life. No, they just made Harry Osborn the mastermind. Oh, and also Harry Osborn brings back Norman. So brings Norman back from the dead, or a clone of Norman. But anyway, it doesn't make any sense. But I still prefer it over the way the original Clone Saga ended. And the biggest complaint I have with that is that they completely shut the door and tried to mask and smoke the whole concept of what happened to Peter Parker and Mary Jane's child. They just left it up in the air. So that's the biggest problem I have with the Clone Saga. Other than the fact that it killed Ben Reilly, which I also don't like. Why spend all this time building up such a great character and then just kill him off? No, that's terrible. So in this new Clone Saga, the 2009 version, Ben Reilly survives. Harry Osborn tells Ben that he's a clone. But before that, the Jackal told Peter Parker that Peter was a clone, and Ben is the original. And then at the end, the very end of the Clone Saga, Peter Parker says that both characters, Harry and the Jackal, were known for lying. They're very notorious for lying. So you can't really take to the bank what either one of them said. So maybe, possibly, Ben isn't a clone at all. So Ben ends up living, rides off into the sunset on his motorcycle, and Peter Parker's like, well, I doubt we'll see the last of him. Okay. Peter Parker, Mary Jane, they have their child thanks to Kane. Kane and Harry Osborn, not Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn. Kane and Harry decided to take the baby away from Harry and back to Peter Parker and MJ. Harry Osborn is defeated by basically Ben Reilly and Peter Parker. Kane goes off into the shadows. Norman Osborn is impaled by the glider. Okay, the glider was headed for Ben, and Norman Osborn, I think, jumped in front of it. So that Norman Osborn dies again. You know, was he a clone or was that the original Osborn? I don't know. But anyway, the good thing about it is that Ben Reilly survives, and the Peter Parker Mary Jane baby is born. So, yeah, I encourage you to pick it up. But most importantly, I want to hear from you. Do you think the 2009 Clone Saga should be an official retcon? Should that Clone Saga replace the original Clone Saga? Or where does it fit in the continuity? What timeline is it? Is it part of the MC2 timeline with Spider-Girl? Is it a prequel to that? Let me know, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you prefer it as a retcon or not? Thanks for watching my video. See you next time.